Yes, now be attentive. There are two main systems of accounting. Silence everyone. There are two main systems of accounting. One is the one which we are prominently following. I should not see anyone talking now. One is the one we are prominently following, double entry bookkeeping system, or simply double entry system also. And one more is there which is called Deshi Nama system. So there are two systems of accounting. One is double entry bookkeeping system and the other one is Deshi Nama system. Now, double entry bookkeeping system is the Western system of accounting that Italian Luca Pacioli, Italian monk mathematician Luca Pacioli or Pacioli invented this double entry system, wherein every transaction has two effects, one is debit, the other is credit. That is double entry system. It is a Western system of accounting. And Deshi means our own. Nama means account. So Deshi Nama system means our own system of accounting, Indian system of accounting. Okay, like what is written in your textbooks? Elements of. See on the first cover page. Elements of accounts. If you see Gujarati medium's books, then over there it is written Nama na Mood Tatvo, where Nama means and Mood Tatvo means elements. So Nama na Mood Tatvo. Nama word stands for accounts and Deshi is our own system of accounts. Is everyone clear with this? So two main systems of accounting are there. Here we write it in regional language, like this you write it in English. Here in Gujarat we write it in Gujarati. Until old syllabus, there was a separate topic of Deshi Nama in 12th standard, which was asked in board exams for 12 marks. But you people are lucky that it is removed now. And now it is demoted to 11th standard. And you have only theory part. Means now this Deshi Nama system has just become a history. It has just become a history which will be studied, but because it's an Indian system, the glimpse of that, the hint of that is given in your syllabus. Okay, but practical questions from this chapter is not supposed to come in your exams. Within double entry system, there are two methods. Within double entry system, there are two methods of maintaining the accounts. One is called cash system. The other one is called mercantile system. Okay, not mercantile, it is mercantile system. One is cash system, the other one is mercantile system. Cash system means all the transactions will be recorded in the current year only if they are received in cash or paid in cash. So if the transaction takes place in current year but the money is not received, or if the transaction takes place in the current year but the money is not paid, we will not record it in the books of accounts in the current year. If we receive the money in the next year, we will record it in the books of accounts in the next year. If we pay the money in the next year, we will record it in the books of accounts in the next year. That is which system? Cash. And mercantile system means everything you record on accrual. Accrual means arisal basis. If a transaction arises in the current year, transaction takes place in the current year, then even if you receive the money in the next year, or even if you pay the money in the next year, transaction has taken place in the current year, so you will record it in the books in the current year. So here how do you record the transactions? Either on receipt basis or payment basis. Means you'll record it in the current year only if the money is received in the current year, and you'll record it in the current year only if the money is paid in the current year. Whichever year it belongs does not make any importance. Means even if it belongs to last year, even if it belongs to next year, but you receive or pay the money in the current year, it will be recorded in the current year. Suppose, let us say that your piece is outstanding of last year. Last year you did not pay the money, but you paid for the money to me in the current year. I will record it in my books of accounts in the current year. Suppose you pay me the piece of 12th standard in advance in the current year. Now you are paying it to me for the next year, but you are paying it in the current year. I will record it in the current year. So you record it in the year in which you receive the money or the year in which you pay the money. Whichever year it belongs does not make any difference. Whereas in mercantile system, you record it on accrual basis. What do you mean by accrual? Arisal basis. So if you pay me the income of last year in the current year, I will not record it in the current year. It belongs to which year? I record it in last year only. Even if you pay me next year's amount in the current year, I will not record it in the current year. It belongs to which year? I will record it in the next year. That is which system? So current year transactions are only recorded in current year. Then even if the money is not received, they are recorded. Even if the money is not paid, they are recorded. Sole proprietorship and partnership firms can follow any of the systems. But joint stock companies have to compulsorily follow mercantile system. Which businesses? Joint stock company, which is formed under Companies Act. They have to compulsorily follow which system of accounts? Mercantile system of accounts. Did you understand these two methods and systems of accounting, everyone? Any doubts with this? So, which are the two main systems? Double entry and Deshinama. Double entry means every transaction has two effects, debit and credit. Deshinama means our own system of accounting, Indian system of accounting. Double entry can be further maintained by two different methods, cash system and mercantile system. Cash system means you record the transaction only if the money is received or paid in the current year. It may belong to last year or even next year or even current year, any year. Whereas mercantile system means you record on which basis? Accrual basis. Accrual basis means current year's transaction will only be recorded in current year. Now, whether the money is received or not, whether the money is paid or not. Is everyone clear with this? Anyone having any doubt on it? Fill out these points in your textbook. It's in the end of the chapter. I'll make you underline the main points. Homework doubts I'll clarify at the end. I'll finish with the theory part first because it's prolonging for long time. I'll clarify that, don't worry. Page 20. Page 20 at the top, do you find types and bases of accounting systems or methods? In that you have two types, Deshinama and double entry. Within double entry you have mercantile, cash, and what is the third one? Mixed means hybrid. Some of the transactions are recorded by cash basis and some of the transactions are recorded on mercantile. For some of the transactions in your books of accounts you follow cash basis, and for some of the transactions you follow mercantile basis. Okay. Deshinama system, unlike the first sentence, it is an ancient method of writing accounts, and second also, generally it was used by sole proprietor and partnership firms. Then, double entry system, unlike the first sentence, according to historians, the mathematician of Italy, Luca Pacioli, is considered as the father of double entry system. Second paragraph also first sentence, the understanding of double entry system is based on the rules of debit and credit. Within that, accrual or mercantile basis, unlike the third sentence, third point, income and expenses of respective accounting year are considered. Then, and then the next point also, income and expenses of that particular financial year are only considered. Means you don't consider last year, you don't consider next year. Next page, cash or receipt basis, and then the first and last point. Only all cash transactions of that respective accounting year are recorded. And last point, cash transactions of previous year and current year are also considered. It will be any year. You receive the money in the current year or pay the money in the current year to be taken into consideration. Hybrid method, so unlike the second sentence, it is known as mixture of mercantile system and cash system. Now, joint stock companies have to follow which system? Mercantile. This can be asked for 1 mark in exam. So next sentence and line. In India, generally the companies maintain their accounts under the mercantile system. Is everyone clear with this? Now can you see the next portion, steps to prepare accounts? What steps did I discuss with you in the definition of accounting? First step, recording, classification, summarizing, and then analyzing or interpretation. 4 steps, right? Now what do you call technically these terms is explained here. Very first of all, like we saw the second chapter, ready-made set of transactions are never given. If you are running your own business, who will give it to you in writing? Purchase goods of 10,000, sold goods of 20,000, paid electricity bill. In your own business, will you have this written anywhere in the form of 20 transactions? No. So how do we identify these transactions? From the bills, invoices. If I have purchased good, invoice will be there, bill will be there. From their bill, I will find out that I have purchased goods from so and so person of so and so amount. Then I pass the entry in my books of accounts. Goods comes in a paid purchase account, cash goes out of cash account. You pay the electricity bill, receipt will be there. That receipt will be a proof that you paid the electricity bill. From that electricity bill, you will record in your books of accounts. Electricity expenses and expense, cash goes out. Or if you paid the money by check, bank is the. These documents, bill, invoice, receipts, they are called vouchers. What do you call them as? Vouchers. They are the proof that the transaction has taken place. So we don't have ready-made set of transactions. How do we do the accounting? We have pile of vouchers. We open that pile, one by one we see each voucher and record the entry in our books of accounts. So what are the steps? Very first step, you have the, from vouchers you identify transaction, which transaction is taking place. Then what was the first step in accounting? Recording. That recording is done either in journal book or in subsidiary. So what was the second step in accounting? Classification. That classification is done in ledger and post. Third step, summarizing is done in trial balance and adjustments. And interpretation is done in accounts. Is everyone clear with this? Any confusions in that? Look at the terms. Page number 10. I'll simply make you underline the things because those terms which we have already discussed in the class, I need not read that. New terms, if they come across, I'll explain it to you. Okay. Page 10, do you find business transactions? Align the inverted commas up till credit. Inverted commas, underline it up till credit. Did you all do that? In the notebook we have already seen exchange of goods and services, for goods and services or for. Next page, do you find event? Underline first 2 sentences. Event is recognized as an incidence. Event means situation or result created from the transaction. So, what is event? I can explain you in simple language. The profit or loss of business is called event. Like what is the second sentence? Event means situation or result created from the transaction. What will be the final result of all the transactions in the business? Either you earn profit or you incur loss. Above that write down example profit or loss. Above that write down example profit or loss. That is an event. Got it everyone? Capital. Underline the first sentence up till asset. First two sentences up till asset. We have already seen this in detail in the class, so I am not reading it again. Okay? Drawings. Underline the second paragraph, first sentence. When owner up till drawings. Fifth, liability. Underline the first sentence up till liability. Sixth is a new point. What is it? Internal and external. Be it internal. Liability is the amount payable by the business. Whatever amount is payable by the business to the owner himself is called internal liability. And whatever amount business has to pay to outside people is called external liability. Do we repeat it? Yes? What is internal liability? Without reading. Within business. Read it 20 times. When I am explaining something, be read. Yes, what is internal liability? Amount payable by the business to the owner himself. In short, capital is internal liability. And whatever amount is payable to outside parties, that means third parties, is called external liability. And then, second sentence, when owner of business is providing capital to the business, it becomes internal liability of the business. It is a liability of business towards owner. Next paragraph. The amount payable by the business to the third party for credit purchase of goods or assets or services or payable amount for money borrowed is known as external liability. Understood everyone? Next page, current and non-current liability that we have seen in the notebook already. Second paragraph, underline first sentence up till current liability. Third paragraph, underline first sentence up till non-current liability. Assets, we have seen in the notebook, assets owned by the business, items or rights owned by the business and having monetary value. Second paragraph, underline up till economic value. Second paragraph up till economic value. Next page, do you find non-current assets? Above that, what are fixed assets? Non-current assets means fixed assets. Second line, underline, non-current assets are also for a period of more than 1 year. And next sentence, they are also known as long-term assets or fixed assets. Tenth, tangible assets, we have seen in the notebook, you can see that, feel that and touch it. Underline the first two sentences up till touched. Intangible assets, underline the first, no not first, second and third sentence up till touched. Second and third sentence. Current assets, what are three characteristics of current assets? Easily converted in cash. Short period of time, less than 1 year. It keeps on changing. So here underline first two sentences, first three sentences up till used. Liquid assets is a new one, market important. Be it under current assets means converted into cash in 1 year period. Liquid assets means less than 1 year, 3-4 months itself you can convert it to cash. So those current assets which can be very short period of time converted into cash, they are called liquid assets. But you will remember, all current assets are liquid assets except stock. Repeat. All current assets are liquid assets except stock. Because stock is the only thing which can take time to convert into cash. If your stock of goods has become outdated, old-fashioned, then it becomes very difficult for you to convert it into cash, to sell it in the market. So that may remain in the business sometimes for even more than 1 year period of time. So except stock, all current assets are liquid assets. Understood that? So, and then second sentence. All current assets excluding stock are recognized as liquid assets. Real assets, Can you see 14 and 15, real and fictitious? Be attentive. Whatever assets we have seen so far are all real assets. Real assets means they physically exist. Okay? They are there in reality. But what is fictitious? What is the dictionary meaning of the word fictitious? Imaginary. But here don't write in exams fictitious assets are imaginary assets. Marks also will get imaginary only. Okay? Fictitious assets exactly doesn't mean imaginary assets where you imagine some good building, something like that, nothing like that. Normally fictitious means imaginary. You would see that whenever you see a new movie or a television serial, etc. In the beginning one disclosure comes that the story is fictitious. Any resemblance to any person living or dead is a pure coincidence. So they just try to give you a disclosure that by chance our story matches with your story, then don't go to the court of law and file a case against me that you have put my story in your movie. It is a pure coincidence. We have just imagined this story and put it or directed. So normally fictitious means imaginary. But here what happens in business? Some expenses are very huge in nature. So huge in nature that if you take entire expense in the current year, it will be a big loss. Whereas actually you will get the benefit of those expenses in the coming years also. Suppose you make a big advertisement of 20 lakhs. Will it benefit to you only in the current year? It will benefit to you for more than 1 year period of time. Suppose for example, let us say that Nikhil is producing Nikhil shampoo and he hires, let us say, Katrina Kaif to do the publicity of that. So Katrina Kaif publicizing Nikhil shampoo. You use it, you'll get strong hair, dark hair. Now suppose that advertisement comes for 20 lakhs, she charges huge money for that. Is it that you'll forget the advertisement after 1 year? Is it that 31st December night you'll party and you'll forget everything what happened in the last year? The benefit of this advertisement will be there for more years or not? Suppose you expected the benefit of this 20 lakhs of advertisement is for the 5 years period. Then can I say 20 lakhs divided by 5? 4 lakhs is the expense of each year. What we do in our books of accounts is, we spend 20 lakhs. But in the current year we show only 4 lakhs as an expense. And 16 lakhs we treat as our asset. Asset because that benefit we will get in the next year. Next year again we show 4 lakhs as an expense and 12 lakhs asset. Third year again we show 4 lakhs expense and 8 lakhs asset. Fourth year we show 4 lakhs asset and over. Or whatever it is. In 4 years it will get over. Is everyone clear with this? So whatever thing you show on the asset side, 16 lakhs, 12 lakhs, 8 lakhs, 4 lakhs, that is called fictitious asset. Because it is actually not an asset but an expense. And this same term is also called, repeat, deferred revenue expense. Once again, fictitious asset is also called deferred revenue expense. Such an expense whose benefit will be in the coming years. Understood that? So how would you divide fictitious asset? You'll say it is an expense incurred at the time of commencement of business. And it's a huge expense, the benefit of which will be over more than 1 year period of time. Okay? So really they are not an asset, therefore we call them as fictitious. Mark it important, fictitious asset. Real assets means, underline the first 3 sentences up till realizable value. They are assets that have value in reality. These assets have market price. This means that it has realizable value. Fictitious assets, underline second line, fourth sentence. This is non-recurring expense. Next also, the benefit of this expense is available for the period of more than. And last sentence, fictitious assets are also known as spread revenue expense or deferred revenue expense. What is 22nd term? Is that covered? See, explanation also is given. These expenses are known as, and about this discussion is undertaken in point number. Understood that? Receipts. Now be attentive. Receipts means receipts, money is received. Payment means payment, money is paid. But there are two types of receipts and payments. Repeat, capital, revenue. So receipts and payments are of two types, capital and revenue. Revenue means regular. It occurs again and again. Capital means one time. Non-recurring. It does not occur again and again. Like for example, salary. Recurring or not recurring? Recurring, every month you have to pay. That is revenue expense. Okay? Purchase of furniture. Recurring or non-recurring? That is capital expense. Interest on investment. Recurring, investment, interest on investment. That you receive every year, every month. So that is again and again. That is revenue income. But money which you receive on sale of building, non-recurring, you are not going to receive again and again. That is capital. So capital receipt and payment means non-recurring. Revenue receipt and payments means recurring. Whenever we find profit or loss in the business, what? We consider only revenue income and revenue expense. We don't consider capital income and capital expense. Whenever we calculate profit or loss of the business, we consider only revenue income and revenue expense. Understood that? So, receipts underline first sentence of the receipt. Next page, capital receipt. Underline first two sentences of the debentures. See what is written in the first sentence? Not received regularly. I told you capital means does not occur again and revenue receipts. And then first two sentences of the ascertained. Payments and then first sentence of the payments. Capital expenditure and then first two sentences of the arise. Revenue expenditure and then first two sentences of the determined. So which expense and income do you consider in finding profit or loss? Revenue expense and revenue income. Any confusion with this? If income is more than expense, profit. If expense is more than income, loss. 23rd, expense. And then first two sentences of the revenue expense. Whenever you say expense, it means only revenue expense. And whenever you say revenue, it means only revenue income. Whenever you say revenue, it means only revenue income. So in revenue also, underline up till revenue. First two sentences up till revenue. Next page, profit. As I said, if revenue income is more than revenue expense, then it is profit. If revenue expense is more than revenue income, it is loss. We consider only revenue, incomes and expenses in finding profit or loss. So in profit, underline first two lines up till profit. Even next line, the excess of day-to-day income over expenses of business is called profit. In loss, underline second sentence, the difference obtained by deduction of regular incomes from regular expenses is called loss. This is called revenue loss, and underline deficit word is popular for loss in practice. Profit is also called gain. Profit is also called gain. Loss is also called deficit. Profit is also called gain and loss is also called deficit. Understood that? Next point, gain. And then profit and gains are synonyms. Purchase and sales. I discussed it with you earlier. Whenever we purchase goods in the business, we will use the term purchases. Whenever we sell goods in the business, we will use the term sales. So in purchase, underline second line, third sentence. A businessman does the business of goods. Purchase of that goods is treated as purchase in accounting. Same way in sales, underline the second line. A businessman does the business of goods. Sales of that goods is treated as sales in accounting. Stock, underline up till stock. Stock means everything remaining unsold. Whatever goods remaining unsold are called stock. At the end of the year, you call it as closing stock. And same stock becomes opening stock of next year, means beginning of the next year. So whatever stock is unsold at the end of the year, you call it as closing stock, and same stock in the beginning of next year is called opening stock. Debtors we have seen in the notebook. So underline the first sentence of till debtors. Bills receivable also I explained it to you. That promissory note. Okay, that promissory note for the person who has to receive the money, it is called receivable. Pay the money, it is called payable. So underline first 3 lines up till it becomes receivable. Next page, receivable, underline first line sentence up till receivables. Creditors, underline second sentence, a person from whom goods are purchased on credit, that particular person becomes creditor of the business. Bills payable, again underline first 3 lines up till bills up till payable. Payables, underline first sentence up till payables. Cost. Now this cost, the total expenses which you incur in the business is called cost. The total of all the expenses which you incur in the business is called cost. So underline first sentence up till cost. To produce any product or to provide any service, whatever expenses are incurred, the sum of these expenses is cost. Voucher I explained you, the proof, bill, invoice, etc. So underline first 2 sentences. Voucher is a written document of business transaction. A type of transaction is determined on the basis of voucher. Next page, discount. Here written, whenever you buy the goods and sell the goods, in India at least it's an Indian mentality. Very first thing you ask for as a customer is discount. Always you'll go to the shopkeeper and first thing you'll negotiate how much discount you will give. So discount is a very regular term in accounts and it's a trade practice. Normally every businessman, what they do is that as soon as they see a lady coming in the shop, first he will increase the price by 50 rupees. Because he knows that she is going to ask for discount. Then he will give discount of 50 rupees. Shopkeeper also happy and lady is very very happy. So normally it happens like that. But otherwise discount is a normal business policy. You know, the woman cannot eat the food, cannot digest the food if she buys anything without a discount. So normally it is a tendency with my wife, I always observe like that. Then whenever I go home, she'll show me some things purchased. First thing she'll tell me is, you know at what price did I get? Then I realize how the shopkeeper has made full of her. So a discount means whenever you buy and sell the goods, you receive certain less amount or you pay certain less amount, that is called discount. At the time of purchase, it is discount received, it is our income. At the time of sales, it is discount allowed, it is our expense. There are 2 types of discount, trade discount and cash discount. I'll explain the actual meaning, but in books little bit different as discussed. See, trade discount means you do trade in bulk quantity, so you get trade discount. For example, suppose I go and ask him, you give me 100 units of these items. Normally people come and buy 1 or 2. But I directly go and tell him, you give me 100 units. Will you give me some discount or not? That is trade discount. Because you are buying and selling large quantity, you get the discount. Second is, further I tell him, I pay you the money immediately, he'll give you more discount. That is cash discount. In books what is discussed is, trade discount means it's your policy. 5% discount you give to everyone, that is trade discount. You go to DMart, minimum 5%, 10% will spend everywhere. What is that? That is trade discount. And cash discount you give to motivate the other person to pay you the money as early as possible. So you give him the policies. You pay the money in 15 days, 5% discount. 20 days, 2% discount. 30 days, no discount. What is this cash discount? You are motivating him to pay the money early. Is everyone okay with this? So discount. Underline second sentence, many times from total amount of purchase or sales, as per the conditions, certain amount is deducted and net amount is paid. The amount which is deducted from the total amount is known as discount. Below that, can you see trade discount and cash discount? Trade discount, underline the first sentence of the trade discount. Also underline the second sentence and mark it important. Trade discount is not recorded in the books. Trade discount is not recorded in the books. Means if you buy goods of 10,000 at 10% trade discount, means you are paying only 9,000 rupees. We will not record 1,000 of discount anywhere. We will directly record 9,000 value in our books of accounts. We will directly record the value in our books of accounts as 9,000. Whereas cash discount will enter in our books of accounts. We will say that purchases are 10,000 and discount is 1,000. So trade discount is not recorded in the books of accounts. We directly record the final amount. Cash discount, underline first two lines up till cash discount. And also next sentence, cash discount is recorded in the books. Then 40 you can see discount received and allowed. And then the first sentence, discount received or allowed are cash discounts. Means they are never trade discounts, they are always cash discounts. In point A, discount received, and then when a businessman purchases the goods and pays less amount which is not paid is called as discount received. Same way discount allowed, and then the first sentence, when businessman sells goods and receives less amount which is not received is called as discount. Depreciation we have seen the meaning. So unlike the second sentence, every year the value of assets reduces by certain rate, and also the third sentence, amount which is reduced is called as depreciation. Bad debts also we have seen, amount irrecoverable from the debtors. Unlike first sentence up till collected, and last sentence, the amount which is not received is known as bad debts. Further underline, it is not an expense of the business, but it is a loss. Now 43 and 44 mark it important, solvent and insolvent. Now, see, suppose I have assets of 1 crore. Assets of 1 crore. Liabilities of 40 lakhs. What is my wealth? 60 lakhs. I have assets of 1 crore. Liabilities of 40 lakhs. What is my wealth? 60 lakhs. And suppose Satvik has assets of 40 lakhs and liabilities of 1 crore. What is his wealth? Minus 60 lakhs. I am called solvent and he is called insolvent. Such people we say in that Hindi or Gujarati, raste pe aate. So raste pe aate doesn't mean he is going walking on the road, but it means he has become bankrupt. Bankrupt you have heard earlier? So that itself is insolvent. Repeat, solvent means assets are more than liabilities.
Assets are more than liabilities.
Insolvent means
Liabilities
are more than assets. Understood that? So solvent underline whole. Insolvent underline up till second sentence liabilities. Up till second line underline till liabilities. Debit and credit, left side of account is called, the right side is called. In the first paragraph underline second sentence, every transaction has two effects in double entry system, debit and credit. Next paragraph underline, left hand side in accounting is called as debit side, right hand side in accounting is called credit side. And what is 46? Account. See, everywhere we have been using the word account. Cash comes in effects. Cash account. Kiran is the giver effects. Kiran's account. Bank is the receiver effects. Bank. What is the meaning of this account? Understand? Suppose I purchase goods from Kiran for rupees 20,000 today. So in my today's page of accounts, it will be there. Goods comes in, Kiran is the giver, 20,000 rupees. After 20 days, I make him the payment of 5,000. So what will happen? 15 days, 20 days, many transactions will be there. after 30-40 pages, again Kiran will come. Kiran is the receiver and cash goes out. Now this way, if I do with the transaction within 15-20 times in a year, to search Kiran in my books of accounts is so difficult job. By the end of the year, your accounting book will be like a dictionary. So many pages will be there. And every page you will see Kiran, Kiran. Is it a difficult job or not? Yes. What we do is, after every specific period, everything related to Kiran, we write at one place. When you write that at one place, it is called account. Is everyone clear with this? Not only related to Kiran, but related to everything. Everything related to cash, you write it at one place, cash account. Everything related to furniture, you write it at one place, furniture. Understood that? See here, underline 1, 2, 3, 4. Third line. Transaction pertaining to respective item. Item doesn't mean only goods. Items means everything. So Kiran is also an item in accounts. Cash is also an item in books of accounts. Okay? And expenses are also items in books of accounts. Everything is item. So transactions pertaining to respective item or person is recorded at one place, and from where the summary of transactions of that item or person can be obtained. It is called. Did you understand this? So full theory is that. Okay. Page number 22. Under barter system, which of the following is not correct? Option A, exchange of money for product. Money was not there in barter. Question 2, what is limitation of accounting? Shamed. Yesterday only we did. S stands for stable value of money. H, historical information. A, avoidance of market value. M, non-monetary are not recorded. E, estimate. D, US. So stable value is a limitation. Okay. Third, accounting is also known as historical accounting. Question 2, who provides capital to the business? Owner. What is bad debts for the business? Loss. What is loss? In exams, don't write in one word. Write the whole sentence. Bad debts is loss for the business. What is stable value of money? We discussed it yesterday. We assume in accounts that the value of money does not change. Okay, that is called stable value of money. You can mention it if you want. It is assumed in accounting that the value of money does not change. It is assumed in accounting that the value of money does not change, which is called stable value of money. Okay? What is double entry system of accounting? Every transaction has two effects, debit and credit. That is double entry system. State whether discount received is an income or expense. Income. The rest are subjective answers covered already. Okay? Same way, page number, chapter 2's objective also will discuss. Page 49. Which of the following characteristic is not applicable to economic transaction? Option D, transaction without monetary value. Because economic means we don't record the transactions without monetary value. Rent paid rupees 10,000. What type of transaction is that? Option C, cash transaction of service. Which of the following transaction is a transaction of special nature? D, goods destroyed by fire. For which transaction discloses relation of debtor and creditor? B. 8,000 purchased from B, so we are debtor and B is our creditor. What is dual effect? Debit and credit. That are the two effects of transaction, debit and credit. The two effects of transaction, debit and credit. Okay? What is cash transaction?
Immediate payment.
Yes, immediate receipt or payment is done. Immediate receipt or payment is done. Explain credit transaction. Receipt or payment is done in future. Receipt or payment is done in future. Now see, illustrations of cash transactions of goods you can give on your own. Purchase goods for cash, purchase goods by check. Credit transactions, you can use the word credit or write the name of the person, then it's a credit transaction. Sixth one also you can give. Fifth one, give illustrations of cash transactions of service. Salary paid, telephone bill paid, commission received. Seventh one, mark it important. Give illustration of credit transaction of service. Yesterday I discussed that doubt. Illustration 11, 9th point. Interest receivable from Kundan. That is a credit transaction of service. That out. Interest receivable from Mayur. And next, one more example. Salary payable to Mayuri. Okay, these are two illustrations of credit transaction of service. Which transaction is called non-economic transaction? Which cannot be measured in terms of money. Okay. Yes, Mayur, doubts? Read it. Clear written, everyone?
Rupees 1,800 given to robot and said,
It is neither cash nor credit, it is an exchange transaction. And two effects will be gold comes in, goods goes out. It is an exchange transaction. And effects will be gold comes in, goods goes out. Further? Anyone else having any other doubt in homework? Any doubts in homework? Homework of next few days I have already given to you. Okay. So we'll start with statistics tabulation today. Bring statistics textbook along with you. Without fail. Okay. Journal whenever I take up, it will not require the textbook. I explain you the concepts only. Time is too short to complete it as such. So you will have to prepare it on your own only for exams.
या हिल राहिला रोडला गिरेगा